Every great life, every enduring legacy begins with one invisible force, values. You want to build wealth, build values first, because without them, money will expose your flaws, not solve them. I've sat across from billionaires who built empires only to watch them collapse. Not from market crashes, but from character failure. No vision, no restraint, no values. Show me a man with no boundaries, and I'll show you a man destined to burn through every dollar he touches. It's not about religion. It's not about politics. It's about standards. Those invisible lines that tell you when to say no, when to walk away, when to shut your mouth, and when to listen. If you don't define what matters, the world will decide for you, and the world doesn't care about your future. I've known people who earned $10,000 in a day and spent $11,000 by nightfall, not because they were evil, because they had no values around money, no system, no discipline. You touch your pocket and feel cash, and something in your brain whispers, it must be spent. That's not prosperity, that's poverty wearing a new suit. There's a mindset spreading like wildfire, and it's killing people's futures. It's called entitlement. You see a rich man driving by and say, that's our money. No, it's not. It's his discipline. It's his late nights, his values, his sacrifices. Entitlement is the lie that someone else owes you what you're unwilling to earn. I've seen this mindset destroy generations. It says, why work hard when I can complain? Why build when I can beg? But here's the truth, nobody owes you success. Not your parents, not your boss, not your government, and definitely not the rich. What you believe about money shapes how you earn, spend, and keep it. If you think every rich person is corrupt, you'll never allow yourself to become one. If you think getting money is luck, you'll never master the skill of growing it. Your beliefs are either bricks in your foundation or bombs under your future. So I'll ask you plainly, what are the values guiding your financial life? Do you have boundaries around spending, around time, around relationships? If anyone can call you at any time, take your day, take your money, take your peace, you're not building wealth, you're just surviving. Greatness begins where excuses end, and every wealthy person I know, myself included, had to confront one brutal truth. Your habits will either serve your legacy or sabotage it. Let me take this further. Values aren't just for individuals. They're the lifeblood of nations, companies, and legacies. When a society loses its values, it doesn't collapse all at once. It decays, quietly, from the inside. The symptoms show up slowly: rising crime, declining trust, broken systems. But the real damage starts long before any of that, because crime doesn't begin with action. It begins with belief, a shift in mindset, a quiet agreement in the heart that says, I can't win unless I take what someone else has earned. That's where corruption is born, not in boardrooms, but in broken thinking. Laziness isn't just a lack of work. It's the result of a belief that effort won't pay off. Entitlement doesn't start in poverty. It starts in the idea that the world owes you something just for showing up. And the moment enough people start thinking like that, when those beliefs become common, even celebrated, everything breaks down. It doesn't matter how many natural resources a nation has, how many startups it launches, or how much talent walks its streets. Without values, shared, taught, reinforced values, those strengths become liabilities. Innovation dies because people don't trust each other. Entrepreneurship stalls because partnerships are poisoned by suspicion. Governments fall into dysfunction, not because of a lack of intelligence, but because no one believes anyone else is operating in good faith. And what's true for nations is just as true for households. A family without values is just as fragile as a failing economy, except the damage happens behind closed doors. I've been in homes where the income is high, but the atmosphere is heavy, where six figures are earned every month, but financial stress still dominates every conversation. Why? Because there's no internal order, no structure, no shared rules. No boundaries around spending, no respect for money, no alignment around goals. One person saves, another spends. One builds, another consumes. And before long, the financial house starts to crack, not from poverty, but from chaos. I've also seen the opposite: modest income, simple lifestyle, but total clarity. A couple or a parent who sets a budget, tracks expenses, and lives with purpose. There's communication, restraint, and shared vision. And while the numbers might be smaller, the results are bigger. Why? Because wealth isn't about what comes in. It's about what stays. It's not just income that builds empires. It's alignment. It's discipline. It's values. And here's the part most people overlook. Values are not instincts. They're not automatic. They don't come pre-installed with age, income, or success. They have to be taught, repeated, modeled, lived out loud. If you're not actively shaping the values in your household, then by default, they're being shaped by someone else, usually by media, marketing, or whoever's loudest on the screen. When I was growing up, there were rules. Simple, powerful rules that taught more than manners. If someone gave you a gift, you didn't rip it open like a wild animal. You handed it to your mother first. You waited. You showed respect. Not because we were afraid, because there was order, because we understood structure, because we were taught that how you receive is just as important as what you receive. Today, those rules are called old-fashioned. We've traded respect for speed, structure for freedom, and boundaries for convenience. A child now gets a gift, clutches it tight, and dares anyone to touch it, even their own parent. And when that child grows up, that instinct doesn't just disappear. It evolves. It becomes financial entitlement. It becomes impulse spending. It becomes, "This is mine. I'll do whatever I want with it." And that mindset, it doesn't build wealth, it destroys it. We've raised a generation that thinks questioning money is judgmental, that asking, "Where did this come from?" is offensive. That if someone shows up with $2 million in cash, the polite response is to celebrate, not to verify. But let me tell you, if it's truly a breakthrough, let's give thanks together. If it's truly a blessing, it can stand up to scrutiny. Values are not afraid of questions. Only deception is. Families don't collapse overnight. They collapse when nobody's asking the hard questions, when nobody's modeling restraint, when nobody's teaching the next generation how to say no, not just to the world, but to themselves. If you want to build wealth that lasts, don't just pass down money, pass down values. Teach your children what to accept, what to reject, what to question, what to walk away from. Because in the long run, it's not your income that determines their future. It's the mindset you leave behind. You cannot build a financially successful life without teaching yourself what to say yes to and what to reject outright. That includes relationships, that includes invitations, that includes temptations that promise quick wins but bankrupt you long term. I've cut people off not because I hated them, but because they had no respect for vision. They saw money as a party ticket, not a building tool. And if you surround yourself with people who celebrate spending but mock saving, your future is in danger. Values don't just protect your money. They preserve your mind. They help you say, "Not everything that feels good now will serve me later." You want to change your financial destiny? Start by changing what you learn and how well you can communicate it. Let's be honest, school doesn't guarantee success. I've met people with 2 degrees and 0 direction. Meanwhile, I've seen self-taught entrepreneurs who never stepped into a university make more in 1 year than a graduate will in 10. The difference, they mastered the art of applied knowledge. Not just information, but transformation. Education, real education, is not just about diplomas. It's about 5 critical skills: the ability to read, to write, to think constructively, to communicate clearly, and to use knowledge to solve real-world problems. If you lack those 5, you're not educated. You're just informed. And in today's world, being informed is not enough. You must be articulate. You must be able to take an idea and pitch it with confidence, explain it with clarity, and defend it with logic. That's the difference between someone who's overlooked and someone who gets funded. That's the difference between obscurity and opportunity. Let me tell you something that most schools will never teach you. Money flows to clarity. The clearer your thoughts, the clearer your pitch. The clearer your pitch, the faster you attract partners, investors, allies. If you can't communicate your value, people will always underestimate it or ignore it altogether. And this doesn't apply just to business. It applies to relationships, to leadership, to legacy. If you're building a company, your ability to communicate values, goals, standards, that's your culture. That's what shapes your people. And culture eats strategy for breakfast. This is why many nations in Africa and elsewhere remain stuck. It's not a lack of brilliance. It's a lack of training. We have engineers who can't write a proper proposal, entrepreneurs who can't explain their business in 60 seconds, pastors who can preach but can't lead. The common thread, communication collapse. You want to earn more? Then speak better, not louder. Not longer, better, with clarity, with precision, with intent. Because in this world, money doesn't flow to noise, it flows to value, and value that can't be expressed often goes ignored. The most successful people I've ever worked with didn't have the fanciest degrees, but they knew how to speak, not just to inform, but to persuade, not just to impress, but to inspire. When they opened their mouths, people leaned in. Investors listened. Clients paid attention. Why? Because their words carried structure, vision, and power. You want better clients? Then think better. Upgrade the quality of your thinking. Read obsessively. Learn relentlessly. Don't just consume information. Challenge it, apply it, refine it, because your income will never outgrow your perspective. Most people stop learning after school. That's their first mistake. They treat education like a phase instead of a permanent strategy. They think a degree equals intelligence. But true education is a daily discipline, not a diploma. You want to break the generational cycle of financial struggle? Then retrain your mind, upgrade your language, shift the way you talk about money, about work, about success. Stop saying I can't afford it and start asking how can I create it? Stop saying I'm not good with money and start saying I'm learning how to master it. Language is the gateway to belief, and belief is the foundation of behavior. If your words are weak, your wealth will be too. Let me say something bold, something most people won't understand until they've lost something they can't replace. Restraint is the highest form of wealth. Not earning, not spending, not showing off. Restraint, because anyone can make money in a lucky season. But few can hold on to it when the pressure builds, when the temptations show up, when the world starts offering shiny things dressed as opportunities. You think wealth is about how much you earn? It's not. It's about how much discipline you can sustain when everything around you screams, you deserve this now. I've been in rooms most people never see, rooms where deals are whispered in corners and handshakes move markets. I've been offered everything, equity stakes, no-strings partnerships, expensive gifts wrapped in hidden expectations, and I've turned many of them down. Not because I'm special, because I understand this. One compromised value can cost you a reputation that took decades to build. You can lose money and get it back. You can even lose time and rebuild momentum. But once your name is tainted, once your word becomes negotiable, you've lost leverage money can't buy. And that's what most people miss. Restraint is leverage. It's how the wealthy stay wealthy. It's how leaders stay respected. It's how legacies stay intact. Want to know why so many rich people go broke? It's not inflation. It's not recessions. It's because they couldn't say no. No to buying luxuries before securing sustainability. No to friendships that drained their time and distracted their mind. No to offers that seemed generous but came tied to invisible strings and long-term regret. Some of you accept everything, every offer, every opportunity, every invitation. and you wonder why your life feels chaotic, like you're constantly busy but never fulfilled, always in motion but going nowhere. You think you're being blessed, but in truth, you're just being baited. Not every door is a good door, not every check is worth cashing, and not every opportunity is a blessing. Some are distractions in disguise. The most successful people I know are not the most talented or even the most charismatic. They're the most selective, not arrogant, not dismissive, intentional. They understand that every yes is a no to something else. Every hour they give away has to serve their mission, their values, their purpose. They say no, not to be difficult, but to stay aligned. Because they know this, time is a non-renewable asset. And once you waste it on the wrong people, the wrong projects, or the wrong promises, you pay for it with your momentum. Wealthy people don't just manage money, they manage energy. They protect their focus like it's cash. They treat every decision as an investment. And that's what keeps them on top. Not just making good choices, but avoiding bad ones. Wealth is not just what you hold in your bank. It's how many opportunities you can walk away from without flinching. Because here's the law. What you compromise to gain, you will eventually lose. If you've watched this far, it means something inside you is stirring. Maybe it's regret, maybe it's hunger, maybe it's the quiet realization that your life, your financial life, needs a new blueprint. Good, let it stir, because the truth is, nothing will change until you do. Not the economy, not your salary, not your bank balance. It all begins the day you say, enough. I will not live another year without clear values, without structure, without a vision that demands my full attention. You want to build real wealth? Start by mastering yourself. Set time boundaries. Create spending rules. Question every belief you inherited about money, success, and sacrifice. Build routines around learning, around discipline, around clear communication. These are the invisible tools of the rich. And above all, protect your mindset, because that's where your financial future is written first. If this message struck a nerve, good. Don't just close the video and forget it. Subscribe now. Not because it helps this channel, but because it helps you. Every video we create is a tool, a reminder, a sharpened edge for people who are serious about building wealth that lasts. Leave a comment below. I choose values over vanity. Let that be your public commitment. And if this video helped you, share it with a friend, a colleague, a family member. Someone out there is building their life on sand, and this might be the foundation they need. Remember, money doesn't make you great. Values do. Wealth just reveals the structure you've built in secret. So build something strong, build something real, and I'll see you in the next video where we go even deeper.
Someone